I recently watched the video about this creator, Angus Silver 40, that talked about how being without children made her feel that she is invisible. And she talked about it in one of her videos, and as to her surprise, she got an answer from women with children that they feel kind of invisible too. And that's very true. I can tell as a woman with children that that happens very easily. And it has been bothering me since the day one, since I got pregnant. The fact that, for example, doctors would treat me like I'm just a vessel for the baby. I had no privacy. I had no person myself. They were only asking me how is the baby and turning my body like this around without asking or making any comments or questions. Like I wouldn't be a person, like I would be an object. And that was kind of hard because I'm certainly a quite private person and I like to be notified before I am touched. And well, it started from there, but then it continues. So when you have a small child, people ask you, how is your baby? How are your children? What is your husband doing? And suddenly, I don't exist anymore. I don't have any interests of my own or anything. And it's really, it's not very nice phenomenon, because at that point you are prone to focus on the baby and not focus on yourself at all. And of course, that's the nature's course to have us taking care of our babies, and that's a good thing. But it shouldn't be like pushed from outside, like more and more and more. Like you are not a person, you are just the mom. And of course, I'm a little bit annoyed that they ask about my husband, but they don't ask how I feel. So it's my children, it's my husband, and then poof, it ends there. No question, but how are you? How are you thinking? And what have you been doing? Of course, I have been taking care of children, but it would be nice to ask what do you think? And to talk about something else than just the children. Quite many times, people with our children think that we only want to talk about our children and nothing more. But that's not totally true. Of course, they have taken over our lives and they are everywhere all the time. So our life evolves around that. But I still want to talk about other things too. And it would be really like relief that somebody asked me something totally different, especially when my children were young. When I went to this park where there were a lot of mothers, they didn't talk about anything else but their children and what color of poop they had. And I thought that I have come to this space with the mentally disabled people, or just stupid. But it was there also. The mothers, they treat each other like they don't exist, only they exist as a caretaker for their children. And this goes on, of course, the healthcare people are the worst, because if something is wrong with your child and you are really in the end of your wits, then they just say that, but you have to do more and more and more and more. Like I would have the endless amount of energy to be there for my children without taking care of myself, without eating, without sleeping, without going ever to shower. So they just express the attitude that I should do more, that mothers should do more, that there are no limits to mothers and what can be required of them. And that's That's a sort of invisibility. I'm not seen or heard as a person. And by no means, I don't mean that I should be just like lying in the couch and things would go to hell. But it would be nice to be taken in consideration. That how are you? Are you actually going to be able to carry on with this for the next 5 years, next 10 years? And that's the invisibility. And I think the worst part of the invisibility, and the one that backfires for quite many people, is the phase when the children finally leave home. If you have been living just for them, if you have bought to this narrative that you are invisible and you exist only for your children, then you have let yourself die inside. And when they leave, then you have nothing. And then you feel empty, and then you feel invisible because they don't need you anymore. And I think that that's extremely sad. That's extreme, like, waste of human life. Because, for example, at my 50s, I think that I have lots of energy, lots of time, lots of thoughts, lots of life still left. And if I would feel just like an empty vessel, what waste would that be? I have always known what it's been to be invisible. I have been treated like I was invisible when I was a child, and the invisibility continues. But now that my kids are big and there is no outside forces coming to our lives, I think that we have been able to turn this around in my family, and my children are beginning to realize that I am actually a person, not just a mom. And I have been able to start this, for example, as my own thing, and a few other projects that are just for me, that I am no longer invisible, that I am seen as a woman and as a person of various interests and my own things. And I am not just mom, not just a worker, not just somebody that is doing chores. Do you feel invisible? Have you the same kind of experiences that I have had when my children were small, and of course still have? The older people I met, the more frequently the question is, how is your husband? How are your kids? No matter what you think or what you're interested in. Well, if you have some experiences about invisibility, please comment down below. It would be great to support the other people that feel invisible too. I hope you have a great day. I see you soon. Goodbye.